Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele. I hope everybody is having a great day and had a great day yesterday and is having a great day today. Boy, is there a lot of stuff to talk about. So I actually didn't put it in the teas, but we have a bunch of stuff, and it's dropping as you can imagine, as the days as it's going through today. You can imagine things are just dropping. So whatever we don't get to today, we'll get to tomorrow. And, maybe I'll do a space tonight. And in case I do, okay, this is my, right down here is my Twitter handle. So you can follow me on Twitter at Wannabe Rounder. I'm always talking about movies, usually in spaces or doing spaces or hosting spaces. So please, if you see one of those that I'm hosting, please join right in and, we can talk. So as I said, there's a bunch of stuff to get to. And I didn't put it in the, I didn't put the little thing in there. So what we got up today is, as I said, so we're going to be talking about, we have a bunch of trailers that dropped today. So I'm going to be talking about those. Now it's going to be mixed in a little bit. Okay. So Sony did their presentation yesterday, and we'll be talking about that. Warner Brothers is doing their presentation, and we're going to be talking about that. Of course, later on is The Flash. So once, first reactions come out, maybe it'll be interesting to see what happens and, what everybody has to say about that. And as we move on further in the week, this will be, right around doing the same thing. So this is going to be lasting all week in Las Vegas until the 27th. Jeremy Fowler, who has popped in here a couple times, and he's fantastic. And he is actually going to be joining us next week, hopefully. I have to lock down a time with him. He is at CinemaCon right now. He is tweeting. He is writing. As a matter of fact, a couple of the articles are from Jeremy that I'm going to be talking about. And we're going to be doing a blockbuster preview. How are all these films going to be doing? Who's going to make $1 billion? Not that that's the end all be all, but who do we think is going to make $1 billion or right around there? Are there going to be any flops? So we'll get all of that stuff next week. I did do the Mission Impossible stream the other day. So if you guys were lucky enough to watch that, fantastic. If not, June 2nd, I will be posting that on June 2nd. And so that will be ready to go. So right off the top, we have External Productions comes in and says, man, I was hoping some news on the Penguin of Batman Part 2. I think it's a little early, to be absolutely honest. So the Batman Part 2 doesn't come out until October of next year. And the Penguin, so I'm sure they will announce something eventually. But right now, don't forget, too, we have the Flash trailer that just literally dropped today, and we're going to be talking about that in a couple minutes. And so I don't really think they wanted to take any eyes off this because it was such a big deal. And this has been, almost 2.5 years in the making. So we'll see, what happens with that. Definitely next year, though. I have no doubt definitely next year they're going to be talking about that. So Coco says the same. Yeah. So, give it a little time. So let's just jump right into the trailers. Okay. So one of the ones that I am most looking forward to, and I'm dying to see this. I love him as a performer. I love him as an actor. He's a 2-time Academy Award winner. The man is stellar. And it's ironic because the same year that Sidney Poitier ended up getting his Lifetime Achievement Award, he ends up winning an Oscar. And that is Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is second to none when it comes to acting. And he's really dominated the acting genre for close to 35 years. Anything he has done, whether it is, The Equalizer, whether it is Philadelphia, whether it is Man on Fire, whether it is Malcolm X, whatever it is, it's unbelievable. So it's just fantastic. And Coco says, they talked about the Napoleon movie we were talking about a couple weeks ago, and we're going to get to that today. And we're going to get to that today and definitely dive a little bit deeper into that. And I think that's actually the piece that Jeremy wrote. So stay tuned for that, Coco, in a couple of minutes, and we're definitely going to touch base on that. But yeah, so The Equalizer is just an amazing movie, and I liked the first one. The second one was okay. I was really hoping they were going to continue it, and they are. And this is the first time that Denzel is doing or has done a franchise. So this comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter and says Denzel Washington gets a standing ovation and surprise Lifetime Achievement Award at CinemaCon. Sony film boss Tom Rothman took a moment during his studio CinemaCon presentation Monday night to give a new NRG study that investigates the most popular movie stars in Hollywood. Rothman explained that the pundits are to believe, quote, movie stars don't matter anymore, end quote. And I think there are very few movie stars today. I just said it the other day. I think Tom Cruise is probably, I would say Denzel is there too, one of the last movie stars we have. So he had said he really hopes, quote, all my competitors believe that shit, because he mostly emphatically disagrees. True movie stars matter more than ever, end quote. Rothman goes on to say, they are just rarer than ever. Streaming doesn't create movie stars, only global hits do. And he's right about that. He's absolutely right about that. The veteran studio chief used the hot topic to tee up the presentation's surprise award presentation, a Lifetime Achievement Award given to Denzel Washington. It was no coincidence, as Rothman explained, over the course of his own 30-plus year career, he's worked on 12 films with Washington, either as an actor or a filmmaker with another. The Equalizer 3 coming this fall. I've never seen him hit a false note, and neither of you, Rothman praised. Denzel is he's an enduring icon talent. Rothman then welcomed somebody else with a long history with Washington on stage, and that was Antoine Fuqua, to present the trophy and his longtime collaborator, whom he made the studio up-and-coming sequel. Fuqua, of course, made note of Washington's 2 Oscar wins and 9 nominations, and also praised his friend's particular set of skills. Audiences have come to know what to expect from Denzel, a sense of honor, dignity, and morals, commitment to what's right, and determination to see that through. Washington then came out on stage to a capacity crowd in the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace and was promptly greeted by enthusiastic and standing ovation. He responded by flashing that megawatt movie smile. We would be nothing without you all. What we do here means nothing if you're not there. Without your houses, said the actor. We are here for you, because of you, and we thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've been blessed beyond measure. Washington then welcomed his Equalizer 3 co-star Dakota Fanning on stage. The trio then introduced the debut of the first trailer. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of stills from the trailer. I'm not going to show you the whole trailer. I will put the link in the description because I want to get monetized. The Columbia picture is due to be set in theaters September 1st, and it follows Washington and Fuqua the outings of 2001's Training Day, 2014's Equalizer, and 2018's The Equalizer 2. It also reunites Washington and Fanning, whom we started with Men on Fire. Directed by Fuqua, written from the script by Richard Wentz. Of course, he did the actual first 2 ones. The Equalizer franchise is based on the television series by Michael Sloan and Richard Linklater. Washington top lines is Robert McCall, who's given up his life as a government assassin, struggling to reconcile the horrible things he's done in his life and done in the past to find a strange life in serving justice on behalf of his oppressed. He feels surprisingly at home in southern Italy. Because of these people, Washington said in the trailer, I'm understanding. I'm no real peace. I start to believe that this is what it's supposed to be. However, his contentment is derailed when he discovers his new friends are under the local control of the local crime bosses. Fans of the franchise will be pleased to learn that what follows is Washington's McCall jumping back into action in brutal and bloody ways. When the trailer ends, there was generous applause, and the kicker quote from Rothman, "You can see at Sony, we're not fucking around." CinemaCon is the official convention of the National Theater of Owners and is being held from April 24th to April 27th in Las Vegas. Okay, let's talk about this. There is a bunch of good stuff. So Coco said real quick, and I'll get back to the story in a minute. When is the rest of the Real Talk cast going to be on? So it's interesting. There's a whole story behind this, and I'll go into it. Let me finish the story, Coco, and then I promise I will get to it. Okay. So this is the first franchise that he's done, and it's amazing. And I love Denzel Washington, as millions of other people do. And so the fact that this is the first shot we see, is him, with a gun pointing at his head, and he has 4 people around him. And of course, you see the stopwatch start. And that is the motif of this movie. And, whether it's in the first one or the second one, and it's just amazing. And he just can carry himself with such gravitas. And it's amazing. The trailer is amazing. And as I said, I will put the link down in the description box when I'm done with the story. But I love this. And I've watched it a couple times. And just the beginning of it, I'm even going to give you the little snippet of the beginning, is you see these 2 men wandering down some stairs, and we see some dead bodies, but there's beautiful Italian opera music playing. And you see the juxtaposition there that they're doing, the death and the beauty and everything else. And it's fantastic. And then, he just carries himself so well in certain scenes. And the action's going to be there and everything else. And I can't wait. And so what they were talking about, this is the first shot on the right here. This was when she was, I want to say she was like 6. Don't quote me on that. 6 or 7, maybe a little younger. But that's Dakota Fanning and Man on Fire, back all the way 20 years ago. And then, of course, the one on the left is today, and when they shot it in Italy. And this looks unbelievable. And even if she's in this a small portion, I'm really happy to see her back, because those two, anybody who's seen Man on Fire knows that the chemistry is just fabulous. And so she, from what I understand, and a lot of it has been kept under wraps, she's going to be playing an agent. And so I imagine she's going to have a part in it, but it's not going to be a major part. It's going to be a supporting role, like anything else. And so that is going to be slower to see. And I think that, this is going to be a fantastic one. So they have not on IMDb Pro as we speak, and they have not given her a name. All they've said is actress. The only person that they have established as the main or the lead is Denzel Washington, who of course is playing Robert McCall. But as I said, this looks amazing, and I can't wait for this. So it's going to be good. And this is hitting theaters like right after the summer. So we're going to have, 8 of August, and then we're going to go right into this. And this is going to go into theaters on September 1st. What do you guys think? Are you excited for The Equalizer 3? Have you seen the other 2 Equalizers? What Denzel Washington roles do you like the most? Leave me your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so I wanted to address Coco's question real quick. Where is the rest of the Real Talks cast? Are they on break? Just wondering. So Kyle is no longer with me. Okay, he stepped away about, I want to say, and it's been about 2 months now. So he because of this type of thing, and he was streaming with me, he actually decided he wanted to get back into streaming. He wasn't doing it as much, but he was doing it. And so you can head on over to his page. You just put Kyle Arking in, his name into the search bar on YouTube, and you'll find his channel. But right now he's doing reviews. He's doing a lot of spaces on Twitter. And so anybody who wants to follow him, his screen name, his Twitter handle is Arking. So it's capital ARKING, capital KYLE, and you can go follow him there. He's doing spaces. He's doing spaces on CinemaCon today. So he stepped away right after The Last of Us. So he said he wanted to go do more stuff on his own. So, and I said, go for it. It's So he stopped. His actual last show, Coco, was week 9 of The Last of Us. So if we're going to date this, we're going to go back about 6 weeks. So he didn't do episode 9, and episode 10, of course, was the night the Oscars was on. So, and that's what I did the Monday. So it's been about 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe even a little further. I mean, I think we're going to go back to January. So he's no longer with us, with me. And it's just, by the way, it was just him and myself. So, I mean, there's no other, I don't have a producer. I don't have a director. I don't have an audio person. I'm doing this on my own. And the reason why I still have this is because I haven't gotten it changed. So, right now, I'm trying to make it as a YouTuber. I have a little bit of money packed away, and I'm trying to get this up and out to as many people. And yeah, so that's what so that's what it comes down to, really. Are you guys still good friends? Yeah, we're friends. Oh yeah, there was no love lost there. I mean, it's not like I was upset that he left. I mean, look, I hope he whatever he does, I hope he succeeds at it. Oh yeah, I mean, there's no love lost there. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's a nice guy. He really is a nice guy. So, what about Destiny and some of the other people? So, okay, so Destiny actually works for Deadline, one of the trades that I, get stories from. So she's, that's her 9 to 5. Kit is a freelancer, and so she's doing a bunch of stuff. So, and then, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, I'm actually looking for a female co-host. You bring that up. So I put some stuff out on Craigslist. I want to do another marketing thing on Instagram, and I'm looking for a female co-host. And yeah, so just basically somebody that can I can have a conversation with. Right now I'm doing this on my own, and that's fine. But it's always nice to have, some other people here with me. But definitely no. So this is my show type of thing. I just haven't gotten that changed. So that's what answers that question, I hope. I mean, we're still friends, and he's going off and doing his thing, and I'm doing this. And are you going to change the profile picture? No, I'll keep this until I look. I've actually thought about rebranding and calling it the David Steele Show, but I'm trying to figure out, since I don't have a job, since I'm trying to make money doing this, I'm trying to figure out what's best. Right now, my number one thing is to bring you guys as much content as I can. So that's my number one goal. When I start to, maybe I, have to look into it. But yeah, maybe I change the profile picture eventually. Maybe once the summer starts, we'll see. I mean, these questions that you're asking are definitely on my mind. Definitely on my mind. And so, so yeah, it's one of those things that I think about quite often. But yeah, thank you for inquiring. So let's go on. So another trailer that just came to light today was an extended trailer. And it's actually coming out, speaking of August, it's actually coming out in August. And that's Blue Beetle. And Blue Beetle, when I first saw it, the very first trailer, I went, okay, it looks okay. Nothing great. I like it, but it's not great. It looks like another Venom, if I'm being absolutely honest. So I went, okay. So we got an extended look at this trailer today. And wow, I'm impressed. I mean, you've got, America Fiera in it, George Lopez. So this is one of the few, I mean, there should be more out there, but this is a Latino superhero. So this actually comes from Scott Mendelson. And so he's actually at CinemaCon right now. And so this is actually centered, as I said, around a Latino superhero. And it's going to be debuting August 18th. Since Warner Bros. Discovery has already dropped the first trailer right in time for the Super Mario movie, it's no surprise that Blue Beetle didn't get that much more footage beyond a longer version of the existing trailer. Of course, the trailer makes the case pretty well, and the next trailer that gets played will be most screenings of The Flash, which we'll get to in a couple minutes, Barbie, and The Meg 2, alongside rival kid flicks like The Haunted Mansion and TMT Mutant Mayhem prior to its August 18th theatrical debut. We get an extended version of the trailer, and once again, guys, I will put the link in the description so you can watch it as well. With Jamie Reyes stumbling upon a mystic scrap that turns him into the title hero. It was the same trailer saved for an extra final gag involving a senior citizen and a Gatling gun. This will be the first DC Marvel superhero flick centered around a Latino hero, which frankly makes one wish it came out a decade ago because superhero films were on the defensive. That Marvel waited until the end of the Infinity Saga to release films like Black Panther and Captain Marvel is, fair or not, an unfortunate circumstance. That we somehow went 10 years in the DC film franchise without getting a Jon Stewart starring Green Lantern film would be comic, sends broader cultural context. The superhero movie had room for Blade and the Mask of Zorro, which was a less dependent tentpole subgenre, and yet the last 15 years have been dominated by white guys named Chris. Of course, Chris Evans, Chris Pine, Chris Helmsworth. Only now, with the superhero movies comparatively on the ropes, are we seeing an all-in investment with inclusive superheroes. Now, the notion of a comic book superhero, even one from Marvel or DC, is no longer an automatic event. Films based around a lesser known and, in many cases, women or minorities are tasked with holding up the entire subgenre from which they are mostly excluded from a generation. And how Manuel Soto directed and Gunther Dudek pen flick is the fourth of Warner Bros. Discovery flicks, along House Party, Mike's Magical Dance, and Evil Dead Rise that just released this last week. That was an initial intended for HBO Max before getting bumped up to a theatrical release. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. I liked the trailer. I think it's one of those things that it looked fun. I think it looked fun. I think it looked like it was a blast. And I think that once we see it, we're really going to start to enjoy it more and more. That being said, Scott is right about one thing. And that's now we're starting to get, excuse me, we're starting to get these pictures like a Black Panther, like a Captain Marvel. And you have to understand, okay, Ike Perlmutter, okay, was a big proponent of why we didn't get them. He didn't like that. He was very old-fashioned, okay? He didn't think that any women should be superheroes. He didn't think any minorities should be superheroes. Ironically, those two films ended up doing $1 billion, okay? That all being said, I think the fact that now we're starting to see that and we're starting to see this is really big stuff. I like the trailer. I'm not too familiar with the lore of Blue Beetle. I only know of it, what I'm seeing, okay? But from what I saw, I liked it. And I'm going to go see this, and I'll do a spoiler cast on this more than likely. And it looks like a good time. George Lopez was hilarious in the little snippet we saw him in. So it's one of those things where I think this is going to do well. Now, it's not going to break the bank, okay? But I do believe it's going to do well for what it was intended. And yeah, I like I said, I really liked it. And I got to see more. I want to see more. I think once we see the final trailer, and by the way, the one person I was shocked to see in there, and correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, was that Susan Sarandon? So now we're starting to see, Susan Sarandon, George Lopez. So we're starting to see this whole dynamic of these stars going over to DC. I think that's really cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think she might be playing the villain, but yeah, it looks like a really good time and should be fun. And it's coming out. This is a safe release date too, because the thing is that this isn't jumbled in July. Okay, if this were at the end of July, I'd be a little worried. This isn't late mid-August. Early to mid-August. So this is going to be fine. All of those other movies, like Barbie, like Oppenheimer, like Mission Impossible, are going to run out of steam by then. So this is going to be, clean in whatever it does. So I think it's going to be fantastic. Guys, what do you think about Blue Beetle? Do you know of the comic lore? Did you like the first trailer? Did you like the final trailer? Are you excited for the film? Are you going to go see this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so let's talk about the final trailer that we're going to be doing before we get the meat and potatoes of the show. And this is the one that I actually watched it, and I went, huh? And I thought I'd seen it before, and I had. And then I went back online, and I went, oh. So we got a brand new Flash trailer. And this I was on, I've been not critical of the Flash. Let me say that immediately. Not because of the star, not because of the story. I was critical because, everybody says, oh, this is going to do a whole bunch of money. And I went, you got to temper your expectations a little, because this is coming out right in the middle of June. Okay. And it's one of those things where, if this were coming out, I would say in August, I'd say, yeah, I believe that. But right now, okay, you gonna have 4 movies out, okay, in Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast 10, Across the Spider-Verse, which we'll get to in a minute, and Transformers. And those movies are going to start eating up and taking some of this money. And I went, I don't know if it's really going to do much. I think it's going to win the weekend, and I think this is one of 3 films that is going to win the weekend moving forward. Okay, and I think that's important. That being said, I love this trailer. I'm not going to lie to you. I love this trailer. I think it's so much. I think it looks so much fun. And just the callbacks. And I think that's the thing. And I said to myself, are there too many callbacks? And I think that's why, in all honesty, I think that's why the Batman worked. Because what Matt Reeves did is he didn't do too many callbacks. You saw the statue. You saw the car when Bruce drove up to the funeral. You saw there was one other callback that really, really worked. And I went, okay, they were really, I think you put one in each act, and it worked really, really well. I love this stuff. I love this trailer. And Kevin says, Flash domestic box office debut predicts 75 and 80. Pixar's Elemental debut between 55 and 60. You really think it's going to do that much? That's great. I hope it does. I really do. I think that's, for the Flash, though, I think that's about right, Kevin, to be absolutely honest with you, because you have, as I said, Guardians and Transformers and Spider-Verse and everything else. And I think that if this makes $100 million opening weekend, phenomenal, because it's then going to make, if this drops between 45 and 50%, next week, I think that's going to be a big thing. This is going to be one of the few movies in the Flash that is going to win 2 weekends. It's going to win the weekend it comes out, and then I think it's going to win the next weekend, because once June 30th comes and Indiana Jones, it's not going to win that weekend. So, and by the way, it's going to make so much money overseas. It isn't funny. So, I'm really looking forward to this. I think you're right. Elemental, I don't know. I mean, it, it's got tough sledding ahead of it, you know. And look, I think that it should do quite a bit of money. So we'll see about that. Although um, I do like this movie. I do like the looks of this movie aesthetically. I loved the end. And once again, guys, I'm gonna put the trailer in the in the description box for you guys. So this does come for the wrap, and basically this is a pretty short article, and it says that Barry Allen inadvertently changed the future when he goes back in time in the latest trailer for The Flash. The superhero standalone film stars Ezra Miller, is set to open on June 16th and will play at the Las Vegas convention 2 months on Tuesday night. I went back to save my parents, Allen says in the trailer, but instead I broke the universe. Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. So, and then they released a poster for it, and it says the film is now part of the Elseworlds plan for the unified DCU going forward, meaning that it's not technically part of the cohesive storyline that DC Studios chiefs James Gunn and Peter Safran are mapping out, but could have ramifications and crossover plots in the future. Gunn heralded the film and recently said, quote, I will say here that Flash is probably one of the greatest superheroes movies ever made. That's a big statement by James. End quote. I've watched The Flash and I've seen it 3 times. It's a very emotional movie, says Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav, adding to the CinemaCon presentation. We'll get to his comments in a couple of minutes. You're gonna go through all the emotions. To me, it's the best superhero movie ever made. Starring Ezra Miller as Barry Allen / The Flash, and was inspired by the landmark comic book Flashpoint. The film will see Allen travel across various multiverses, encountering other versions of himself, as well as a version of Supergirl for an alternate timeline. Additionally, the film stars Michael Keaton making his return as Batman after nearly 30 years, as the Wrapverse reported. Keaton first played Batman Bruce Wayne back in Tim Burton's 1989 blockbuster of the same name, a critical and financial success that changed how superhero films were viewed and paved the way for the genre's future box office domination. Keaton last played in Batman in 1992's Batman Returns, but quit the role during the development of the third film after Burton was pushed out as director and replaced by Joel Schumacher, who took the series in a campier direction with Batman Forever in 1995 and the much rivaled follow-up Batman and Robin in 1997. But The Flash will disregard the latter two entries entirely and will explore what Keaton's version of Batman has been up to since we last saw him. Okay, so let's talk about this. I think the fact that you're going to have Batman in this is going to draw numbers. I think the fact that, it's one of those things where this is a big deal. Now, don't forget, too, that what we have, okay, is we have a multiverse. Just like Multiverse of Madness, where anything is possible, okay, for Marvel, we have that for DC. I'm interested. I'm really interested. And I think that if this is done right, I mean, we already know Ben Affleck is going to be there. I was watching another stream today and they said, do you think Christian Bale is going to be there? And I said, we'll see. I mean, if he is, it's going to be a surprise. We haven't seen him in the trailers. But this is going to be the final trailer. So I just want to say hello, Metal. And it's nice to have you in here. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think that this is going to be a good movie. I'll be curious to see what happens moving forward because they're going to be having a little bit of a dilemma, believe it or not. If she does really well as Supergirl from an alternate timeline, do you keep her or do you go a different direction? Okay, because don't forget, in a couple of years, we have Superman Legacy coming up. And it would be very interesting to see if she actually would keep the role as Supergirl, you know, um, in that particular film. I don't know. I think that one way or the other, though, it's going to be a fun movie. I mean, just the one thing I'll say is this: I'd love that, and like I said, I'll put the whole trailer in the bottom description for you guys so you can watch it. But when that last shot, you know, when they drop, and then you see it was like an homage to Tim Burton, and the Batwing goes up and it hits the moon. It looked really good. I'm on board for this one. So I can't wait for this one. And this is going to be right in the middle of the summer, guys. And by the way, these most or all or some or the majority of these I will be doing spoiler cast for. So do not fret about that. It's going to be a busy couple weeks for me, a busy couple months. So, anyways, guys, what do you think about The Flash? How much money do you think it's going to make opening weekend? Are you excited about the new trailer? Are you going to go see it opening day? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so we move. So the trailer was amazing. Hopefully she does good. Yeah, no, I agree. So we'll see what happens with it. I really, it's one of the most anticipated movies of the year. So comes out a day after my birthday. Nice. Cool. So speaking of big movies, so we have another big movies coming out at the beginning of that month. And of course, I'm talking about Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I have to see the first one, and that's going to be fine, and that won't be a problem. It will be very interesting to see what this does because, of course, sequels are sequels. And so, but I got to say, animation for this from the trailers looks awesome. Now, everybody that was at CinemaCon, and I wish I were, maybe next year. I'm not at CinemaCon right now. And so it's one of those things where they got a big sneak peek at this, okay? They got 14 minutes of this movie shown to them. So this comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. And it said 14 minutes of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at CinemaCon. Sony Pictures Animation previewed a still unfinished 14 minutes of the eagerly anticipated Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And by the way, guys, I think I have... Okay, Across the Spider-Verse. Just checking. I thought I had the wrong one up, guys. So, where was I? The sequel to the Best Animated Feature Oscar winner, Into the Spider-Verse, on Monday at CinemaCon. In 2018, we delivered the most creatively ambitious movie I've ever been a part of, said SPA President Christine Belson. We are deeply proud of the sequel. The movie follows Marvel's Miles Morales. Try saying that 10 times fast. Marvel's Miles Morales / Spider-Man, voiced by Shamik Moore, and Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman, voiced by Haley Stenfield. And by the way, she looks really good. The animation for this looks amazing. So set across the multiverse of Spider People. At CinemaCon, the pair was joined by a new voice cast member, Isaac Ray, and Ken Powers, one of the film's trio directors to introduce the film. It begins with Miles in his bedroom when he receives an unexpected visit from Gwen. They swing and talk high above the Brooklyn Bridge until they're interrupted by Miles' parents. Before the segment ends, Miles has another touching talk with his mother, voiced by Luna Laura Valdez. And by the way, some of these shots that I'm describing to you, they were in the second trailer. Powers related that the sequel, quote, is a continuation of the story of Miles Morales, bringing in lots of characters, old and new, on the same emotional journey, end quote. It's been over a year since the events of the first movie, and is still trying to learn to be a superhero, Moore said, saying that this movie shows that, quote, how you wear the mask is what makes you a hero, end quote. Ray gets her introduction into her, quote, non-nonsense, end quote, Spider-Woman, when Stanfield, and she's glad Stacy's Spider-Woman is, quote, so inspiring to young girls, end quote. This time around, excuse me, a new trio of Helmers will make their featured directorial debuts. Powers, who is a 2021 adapted screenplay Academy Award nob for One Night in Miami, and co-director of Pixar's Soul, storyboard artist on the series of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Justin K. Thompson, production designer on Into the Spider-Verse. And Into the Spider-Verse was helmed by Peter Ramsey and Rodney Rothman. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are returning as producers and writers, with David Callahan also writing the script. So this will be, and the movie will be followed by another sequel, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, in 2024. So this is the second of 3. So this looks really fun too. I can't wait for this. I've got to sit down. I've got to watch the first one, but I think it looks really good. And, I mean, this is more of them. This is more of the adventure that we're going to see. And I think Miles, and I have no idea, I'm just guessing by the stills and what we're going to see in the trailer, he finds love. And so he's told to go after Gwen because he has to figure out what he wants to do with his life. And he has to be a good, solid Spider-Man. And I think that, it's one of those things where I think that I'm interested. I'm definitely interested in seeing this movie. And yeah. So, by the way, guys, if you see a little blue screen pop up, just bear with me. I'm getting other photographs. And so that's all I'm doing because I want to prepare the next story for you guys. And so I should say this, okay? Warner Brothers also is doing their presentation today. And they have a lot of stuff. And I'm going to get to that. As a matter of fact, what we're going to do is we're going to finish with the what am I trying to say here? I lost track. Oh, so we're going to finish with the Sony stuff, and then we're going to go right into the Warner Brothers stuff, so we can catch up and take care of that. So, like I said, I'm just getting all these pictures up here. So I have the stories already done. So just bear with me for a minute. It can only allow so much. So, and yeah. Okay. So let's just jump right into another. Sorry about that, guys. Had to get some more of this stuff out. So, okay, what I'm going to do, and this actually was from today, but we're going to cover it. We're going to cover all of it. So, and that is a film. So, anyways, I should say this. What do you guys think about Across Into the Spider-Verse? Are you looking forward to it? Are you looking forward to the next one in 2024? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so one of the movies that is going to be coming out in July, and that Warner Brothers actually talked about today, and I don't know how I feel about this. Part of me wants it to move. The other part of me, I mean, look, I hope all movies do well. I'm not saying that it shouldn't, I don't want all movies not to do well, right? But that's Barbie. I'm really, I don't want to say on the fence about it, but Um, I don't know how to. I mean, I guess the thing is that it's not for me, right? I mean, we're going to cover it here on the channel, but it's just not for me. But since it is, a movie that everybody's looking forward to, I thought we would talk about it. And this comes from Kristen Lopez, and she talks about Barbie. Audiences at CinemaCon got to see more of the wacky, pink, and fashion-forward world of Greta Gerwig's Barbie in Las Vegas on Tuesday. The footage revealed was preceded by Gerwig walking out on stage alongside Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, and America Ferrera. Everyone knows Barbie, declared Robbie, but she's never gotten on the big screen. Gerwig noted that she never met Gosling prior to making the film. Gosling joked that he previously only knew of Ken from the outside, but now knows Ken from within. When he was initially, while he was initially doubted, his quote Ken energy end quote Gerwig and Robbie brought it out like pink scarlet fever. America Ferrera noted by the end of the film she was a Barbie girl. I've never seen so many grown men find an excuse to come to a set, remarked Robbie. It was like a dopamine hit. Replied Gosling, I think I finally know what it was like, what Dorothy was like. Noting the film's comic elements, Robbie said that she had watched a cut of the film and she could tell what Gerwig had to cut away before Margot broke character. So it actually got a brand new trailer. I'm going to describe the trailer for you. Now this one is not released, so you guys, this is exclusive to Comic-Con. So the trailer opens with Barbie waking up in her dream house in her dream world before meeting up with Ken, who invites himself over to Barbie's giant choreographed party. And I think that's the one where we're going to see everybody together. We saw a quick shot of that, I think, in one of the other trailers, or the only trailer, I should say. Life is good for all until Barbie asks if any of them think about dying. Meanwhile, trouble is afoot when cold showers falling off the roof and heels touching the ground. Barbie visits, quote, weird Barbie, who's played by Kate McKinnon, end quote, who makes a very Morpheus-like bargain. She can go into the real world and learn the truth or go back to her make-believe existence. Barbie eventually decides to go to the real world with Ken in tow. And that's the shot that you see that the car spinning around at a 360. So that's when I imagine they're going to go into the real world. The next half is a conventional culture clash comedy with Barbie and Ken rubbing up against the real world, along with the real world toy boss, who's played by Will Ferrell, not being thrilled about the dolls driving into the real world. The final gags involves Barbie's struggling to drink a real beverage. She's not used to drinking from non-empty containers, and Ken walking around a doctor's office in a cowboy outfit, much to the befuddlement of the staff. So that's your trailer right there. The hotly anticipated film has captivated audiences since the trailer debuted back in April, giving us a glimpse of Barbie's world under her relationship with longtime Premier Ken. The Oscar-nominated Lady Bird and Little Women filmmaker Gerwig co-wrote the script for the film alongside Noah Baumbach, who also took the directing reins. So here's the ensemble for this. America Ferrera, which I made mention of, Will Ferrell, Siobhan Liu, who actually was in Shang-Chi, Michael Cera, Kate McKinnon, which, weird Barbie, Emma Mackey from Sex Education, Kingsley Ben-Adir, High Fidelity, Rhea Perlman from Cheers, Ariana Greenblatt from Infinity War, and Alexander Shipp from Tick Tick Boom, Sharon Rooney from Dumbo, and Scott Evans from Almost Love, and a couple of others. Robbie is also pulling double duty with Barbie, also serving as an EP through her Lucky Chap banner along with David Heyman. The struggle to bring Barbie to the big screen has been a long one. The film initially started out with Anne Hathaway and Amy Schumer looking to star in it before Robbie arrived. The movie is almost famous, is already famous on social media, particularly, and it's set to take on Christopher Nolan's epic Oppenheimer as they're both released on the same day, and that is July 21st. Okay, let's talk about this because I think there's something to be said. Okay. I hope this does really, really, really well. I do. However, and here's the caveat. I think that the fact that number one, let me go side by side here. Number one, it's going up against Oppenheimer, who Christopher Nolan is established. Not saying Greta Gerwig isn't, because she's directed 2 fantastic films, but it's only 2. When you look at Nolan, it's Memento, it's Inception, it's The Dark Knight, it's Dunkirk, it's a plethora of other films. Okay. Now, Tenet, call Tenet for what it was. That was during the pandemic. Okay. So, but okay. Everybody has a bad day at the office. So that's number one. Number two, okay. The fact is that this is coming out a couple of weeks after Mission Impossible, that record, or a week after. And I think that look, Mission Impossible is going to win that weekend before it opens. I mean, that goes without saying. The second weekend is going to be a 40 to 50% drop. If this is as good as advertised, and I think it's going to be, and I have no knowledge of that, but all you got to do is take a look at what Tom Cruise has done over the last 18 months. Okay. I think it's going to blow up. Which means, okay, if it's not just Mission Impossible, you're talking about Indiana Jones, you're talking about Across the Spider-Verse, you're talking about The Flash, you're talking about all these other films that are still going to be in theaters, which means it's going to take away money from Barbie. Now, all of those people that don't go see Barbie are going to go see Oppenheimer. So, it's in a dilemma right now, because if it doesn't move, and I think it should move to early August, okay, or late August, okay. If it moves to late August, it will have it all by itself, okay. Blue Beetle, I believe, is coming out the 18th. I could be wrong. Let me double check on that. I know it's coming out in August, so it is the 18th. Okay, so the Equalizer 2, the Equalizer 3 comes out 2 weeks later. It could move, and I believe so that's Blue Beetle, the 18th, I'm sorry. It could move to the 4th, okay? Now, this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie is going to be on Netflix. Now, whether it gets a release or not, but that's a totally different audience, okay? Here's my point. If it moved just 3 weeks to the 4th, I think it could make a whole bunch more money. But the problem is, if it doesn't move, it's going to be hurting. Now, it's going to make money overseas, no doubt about that. But this is a $100 million budget. In order to break even, you're going to have to make at least $300 million. Now, I think I'll do that in its sleep. I have no doubt about that. But if they want a sequel, let's say this is a good movie, a solid movie, I think that you're going to have to be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $800 million just to be considered for a sequel. That's just a fact. It's a fact. So, I hope it does well. I'm thinking it will do well. But the problem is, it's damned if it doesn't, and if damned it does. If it doesn't move and it doesn't do well, they're going to say, oh, nobody came out to support Barbie. Well, look at the competition. If it does do well, they're going to say, oh, look at Barbie, it did fantastic. I'm just saying, from a business point of view, okay, it behooves Warner Brothers not to move this. It does. I'm sorry. Because if, let's say, by the way, this is all speculation. Let's just say Mission Impossible makes $140 million opening weekend. So it comes out the next weekend. You have these two films come out. And let's say Mission Impossible makes $80 million. Well, how much money do you think Oppenheimer is going to make? And how much, because that's a more serious tonal film. How much do you think Barbie's going to make? What is an acceptable opening weekend for Barbie? That's another question, too. If it makes $35 million, so I don't know. I just, like I said, I want the film to do well. I really do. I'm just very skeptical about if it's going to do well because of the time it's in. Anyways, so the long and short of it is this, guys. We got new footage of Barbie. Okay, we got a new trailer of Barbie, and it's going to be coming out July. So, anyways, what do you guys think? Are you excited for Barbie? Do you want to go see Barbie? Or are you going to go see Oppenheimer? Which one are you going to go see? Would you take your girlfriend? If your girlfriend asked you to go see Barbie, would you go see that with her? Or would you go see Oppenheimer instead? Anyways, let me know your thoughts down in the comments and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so we move from one to the other. I'm going to go back to Sony here. And there is a major picture that Sony announced last night, and that is Kraven the Hunter. And this is one of those that's, in the Spider-Verse, so to speak. Okay, this is going to be a live action. This isn't going to be animated. And it's going to be fascinating because for a number of reasons. So this comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter. And Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to be bringing bloody rated R Kraven footage, or rated R Kraven to the big screen. Kraven the Hunter leapt into action to kick off CinemaCon in Las Vegas on Thursday, with Aaron Taylor Johnson sending a video to give the first glimpse of the Sony film to cinema owners. The footage included a look at Taylor Johnson in costume, including Kraven's trademark fur. Taylor Johnson said in the video, including the footage, introducing the footage, and revealed that the film will be Sony's first rated R Marvel feature. Will this be rated R? Yes, it will be rated R, said Johnson. The footage shows Kraven stopping a caravan of poachers and quickly killing the 6 of them, including by biting one man and spitting out part of his skin to the camera. It also reveals that the classic Spider-Man villain, the Rhino, will be in the feature, with Alyssa Naveau playing the role. In the footage, only his arm is shown, but he appears to have gray skin. Without naming the character, Naveau spoke to The Hollywood Reporter about his work in the movie last year. I only transform physically in the final moments of the movie, so it's just a classic villain role, Navarro said. It has been an interesting, complex psychology and personal history to draw upon, and the movie has a time jump in it. So the characters change a lot from the way it is in the beginning of the film. It was as much of an acting opportunity as any other film I've done. Sony and Johnson are betting big on Kraven, which one or more well-known Spider-Man villains from the comics. The studio, when announcing his casting nearly 2 years ago, touted the actor that was signed to a multi-picture deal to play the character, which debuted back in 1964's Amazing Spider-Man number 15, where he was introduced by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Kraven is a change of pace for Johnson, who broke out in the comic book feature Kick-Ass in 2010 and had a starring role in 2015 Avengers Age of Ultron, but largely has been eschewed from his big studio's features since. That started to change into a small role back in the aforementioned Christopher Nolan's Tenet, as well working in Sony's Bullet Train. J.C. Condor is directing Kraven, which is a release date of October 6th, and also stars Ariana DeBose, Fred Hutchinson, Christopher Abbott, and Russell Crowe. In the comics, Kraven is a big-time game hunter who goes after Spider-Man. He was at the center of the classics 1980s Kraven the Last Hunt, in which the villain buried Spider-Man alive, and assumed his identity. Okay, let's talk about this. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's one of those things where I think it's one of those characters that is he's unknown, right? He's unknown. And when I say unknown, unless you're in comic book lore, you really have a knowledge of the comics, you don't know him. Now, this is what he looks like in the comics, okay? And this is his fur and everything else. The fact that this is going to be rated R is a big thing. I think that what you're doing, number one, you're taking a very calculated risk because you're isolating a whole market. And that's one reason why Marvel, for what it is, okay, has been able to succeed and make billions and billions and billions of dollars. Because they hold the line there. They do just enough to make it a PG-13, and that's it. When you make it rated R, okay, the only other rated R movie I can think of off the top of my head that really succeeded, that was a superhero, and I wouldn't even call this a superhero, more of a origin story, is Deadpool. But Deadpool was known, and he is comic humor and everything. This is a very dark character. And, with the footage they showed, you have Rhino in there. I mean, it's interesting, too, because here's the thing. If we go back to the article, what he said, okay, he says there's a time jump, okay? He said that the movie has a time jump in it, and so it changes a lot from the way that he is in the beginning of the film. And, okay, here's another thing to keep in mind. There's Rhino that's going to be in this. Or we see what we believe is Rhino. How is that going to play out? What do we think they're going to do with this? I mean, is Sony setting up? What are they setting up? Because they wouldn't be doing this unless they had, some sort of thing ready for Spider-Man. Could we see Kraven battle Tom Holland and Spider-Man, or Andrew Garfield, or I mean, don't forget, No Way Home made almost $2 billion, and that was partially, I mean, a lot of it was due to the emotion of the film, but you had the two guys in there that were part of this. I'm not saying they're going to be in the whole film, but could there be one? Yeah, I really do. It's a stretch, but they have to be very careful. I mean, the fact that it's coming out October 6th, too, is good because it's right around that time. That sounds crazy. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I'm on the fence about it because, to my knowledge, there has not been any screen testing. To my knowledge, there has been, I think that so far, they're still filming right now, Metal. So I don't think so, to answer your question. But I'll say this. Rated R movies, you have to realize that you're isolating a whole audience, whole portion of it. So those 15 and 16 and 17-year-old kids, I won't call them kids, young adults, they can't go see this. I mean, if you're 17, you can, okay? But if you're 15 or 16, you can't do that. So that's something else. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this is going to go. I really, really am. Anyways, guys, what do you think about Kraven the Hunter? Do you think this is a good move for them? Are you interested in seeing Kraven Do you? How much Rhino do you think we're going to get in this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so yeah, this is quite a long stream because we have quite a bit to get to. So now what we're going to do is go to the I won't say the not so fun stuff, but so NATO is. Let me preface it by saying this: NATO is one of those things that it's not the North American Treaty Organization. Just to let everybody know. So NATO is the National Association of Theater Owners, and so essentially, um, this person is involved with what all of the theater owners do and how they do it, and um, so basically, every single year, there's just like a State of the Union, like the president gives a State of the Union, he gives a speech. And today was that speech. And so his name is John Fithel. Okay. And so this comes from the rap. This comes from our friend Jeremy Fowler, who as I said, we're going to be having on the show, in a couple weeks to talk about the blockbuster and everything else. Okay. And it says John Fithel, president and CEO of the National Organization of Theater Owners, has spent the past 3 years guiding cinemas out of a pandemic that led to many questions whether this would be the exhibitors industry's last stand. Now he's leaving the job, feeling more hopeful than he did about the future of the theatrical experience. Getting through COVID meant dealing with a blitzkrieg of multiple hard tasks, Fithrin said. He told the Wrap in a one-on-one interview ahead of NATO's annual CinemaCon event. We had to develop the protocols for preventing the spread of COVID in theaters and then lobby state governments to allow theaters to reopen. And on the financial side, there were countless talks on the federal and state level for grants and tax advantages to allow theaters to stay afloat for the box office to begin rebuilding. And after all of that, what does Fifth World see for the future? I see an industry that recognizes the importance of the theatrical experience as strong as ever. Things have changed, and we've had to change. But I think 2 years ago, when people were wondering if the public was going to come back to the theaters and if films were still going to be released exclusively on the big screen, the answer to both is unquestionably yes. There's a notable exception, he admitted, Netflix, who has held fast to its limited release, streaming to pump most of its film directly to streaming subscribers. Even so, CinemaCon in Las Vegas 2023 will be a victory lap for him as he retires after 31 years at NATO, passing the torch to former Fox exec and Justice Department official Michael O'Leary. Those over decades, Fithrid's work has included fighting government, censoring by working with the Motion Picture Association to update its ratings system, overseeing the industry-wide transition from film to digital production, and navigating theaters through their love-hate relationship with streaming services over the past decade. But there is no question that the pandemic was his toughest challenge and his proudest accomplishment. Now, as he leaves, movie theaters are still facing serious challenges when it comes to recovering of COVID financial devastation. With AMC weak earnings, high debt, and flailing stocks, Cineworld emerging from bankruptcy. But as he says in the interview below, theaters are getting more help from a film industry that is steadily returning to, quote, the quality, and diversity, end quote, that the exhibitors enjoyed in the late 2010s, which is why he holds out hope and saying goodbye. So this is the interview. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there is another piece that is coinciding with that. Okay. And so that is basically, that's Variety. Okay. So this comes from Variety. And I want to give both. So that was an interview he did, but I wanted to actually read this one because it's a little more of substance. So during the pandemic, studios experimented with the shrinking amount of time that their films screen exclusively in theaters, while spending oceans of money to launch streaming services. But the debt they racked up has sent their share prices plummeting, and now studio executives are making more movies for theaters and cutting back on their streaming budgets. CinemaCon, the annual exhibition industry showcase that is unfolding this week in Las Vegas, couldn't be happier about the shift in strategy. John Fithian, the head of NATO, the trade group behind the show, touted the new state of play during his speech to the convention, while praising Amazon and Apple for embracing the big screens with movies like Air and the upcoming Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon. I have photos from Napoleon and can show you in a couple minutes. Both of these companies will reportedly be spending more than $1 billion on theatrical films. It is now irrefutable, more than ever, that theatrical is a keystone of the movie industry, he says. Releasing major films with massive budgets direct to streaming platforms is not a sustainable business model. The return on investment is non-existent. Fiatro said that a movie debuting in cinemas makes people more likely to check it out on streaming because it gets more attention for a film. 9 out of 10 people are aware when a movie comes out theatrically, and 50% of them are more likely to check it out in streaming. Movie fans want a theatrical release to help them decide whether the best viewing options are, he argued. The NATO chief, who is departing after post 2 decades, says that the movie business is enjoying a return to the pre-pandemic form with ticket sales up more than 30%, such as hits with Avatar: The Way of Water, the Super Mario movie, and Air. He said much of the resurgence has been a simple explanation. We have more movies to play. Bithian, who oversaw NATO as COVID shuttered theaters and pushed for federal funds to support the industry, will be replaced by Michael P. O'Leary, who has held and served senior positions at Entertainment Software Industries 21st Century Fox and the MPA. He has also worked on Capitol Hill at the Department of Justice. Motion Picture Association Chair Charles Rifkin also touted the box office comeback in his remarks to theater owners, while regarding that this organization, which represents the major movie studios and Netflix, is doing the vital work of encouraging production incentives that keep movies flowing to the big screen. He noted that the MPA has been meeting with countries such as Argentina, Colombia, and New Zealand to push them to make their mixture of tax breaks and rebates more attractive to filmmakers. In many ways, we are serving Hollywood's ambassadors to the world, engaging at all levels to fight for the freedom and agency that is this great industry needs to do what is best, and ultimately to bring more people back to the theaters across the world, he said, who in a previous life was ambassador to France. Some of those efforts may be paying off. Rifkin said that the Kingdom of Jordan is investing in new sound stages to lure filmmakers to iconic locations such as Petra and Water Run, who had previously hosted Dune and Indiana Jones, while Saudi Arabia has made film production a key part of its economical development plan. Critics have complained that these breaks don't generate enough economy activity to justify them, such as corporate giveaways. Rifkin pushed back at the suggestion. In Australia, every Australian dollar invested in production has generated nearly 6 Australian dollars in return, he said. Every dollar of tax credit allotted in New York generates more than $9 of economic activity in the Empire State. And every British pound spent attracting investment in the UK sector almost returns £8 in revenue. Okay, I want to talk about this. I don't have any pictures for this because I want to stay on screen. I want to really make this point and drive this point home. We've known about this for a long, long time. And yes, there have been films. Look, there have been 4 or 5 films over the past 18 months to 2 years that have saved the industry. Okay. Avatar: The Way of Water, Top Gun: Maverick, Spider-Man: No Way Home, okay, and now Super Mario Bros. And you see a variety of different things, okay. That being said, okay, Netflix is they are going to have to do something substantial, okay, very substantial, because here's the thing that if they don't, okay, they're in trouble, because the only way that they can get money is by you, the viewer, subscribing to them. Now they have the ad tier, sure, and a lot of people do not want to spend for ads. I get it, okay, but that's it. Their business model is crap, okay. It is crap because, and I've said this nauseum. You have countless. Let's say you have a show like Stranger Things, right? They don't drop it week to week like a Disney Plus did. Which, by the way, when you look at something like WandaVision, okay, WandaVision started out and it was an okay thing. By the end of that show, it was the number one show in the world. Okay, The Last of Us. Forget about the fan bases. This is what it needs to be. So Netflix either needs to do one of two things. A, they need to charge more, which they may, okay? Or B, what they need to do is they need to start dropping things week by week. One of the biggest things that they don't do is market, okay? They're slashing and burning jobs right now, and they're trying to get the stock prices up and everything else. And the other thing too is, and he said it in the piece, you look at the amount of money that Netflix has left on the table, okay? Take a movie like Glass Onion. Had that had a full theatrical release, I'm talking 45 days, that could have made nearly its whole budget back. Plus, you get it on Netflix. You get it on your streamer. So you're going to get more subscribers. It doesn't make sense. Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, look at Air. Air is another perfect example, okay? That's made to date, as of today, okay? As of today, okay? That movie has made $68 million on a $90 million budget. Think about that. It has made more than 2/3 of its budget back. And it hasn't even hit streaming yet. What? This may not turn a profit, but it's gonna get damn close to it. That's incredible. That's incredible. And mind you, it got crushed week one when it went up against Super Mario Brothers. Right? And it's still making money. The other thing too is this, okay? And this is where I come down. If Netflix, and I've said this before, okay? If you, to be eligible for an Oscar, in my eyes, you have to keep your film in a theater for 30 days. That's it. It doesn't have to be the whole 45-day run. 30 days. If you don't put it in there and it doesn't have, forget about what screens it's on and whatever else. But if it's not in a theater for 30 days, it's not eligible for an Oscar. It could be the best movie in the world. If you keep it in there for 28 days, it is not eligible. And that's a fact. And that's across the board. Okay? Whether it's Amazon or Apple or Netflix or whatever. Because we can't play by different rules. Okay? All of these other studios, 21st Century Fox, Universal, Paramount, Lionsgate, they all keep their movies in there for 45 days. So why do they get to pull their movies early and then still turn around and win 4 or 5 Academy Awards? I'm talking about All Quiet on the Western Front. Okay? Glass Onion was up for a screenplay Oscar. That's not right. Now, Glass Onion didn't win, but look at All Quiet on the Western Front. It won 4 or 5 Oscars. It didn't get the release. It should have. I'm not saying it would have broke the bank, but so you see my point. Streaming is it's Netflix has, and even the CEO has come out and said that is not our model. So look, he's going to, granted, they gained 2.5, I think it was 1.75 million subscribers this last quarter, but people are not going to want to spend more money. When you only have a certain budget allotted, okay, for entertainment in your family, whether you're a family of 4 or, boyfriend, girlfriend, or, whatever else, even single people, okay, they're on a budget. Money is tight today. You have, let's say, $40 to spend, $30 to spend. Now, I'm in California, okay? Are you going to go spend $30 on a Regal pass, okay, that you have a Regal right down the street? You can see all of these movies as many times as you want, or you're going to spend it on 3 or 4 streaming services. So there's a lot to be said about that, okay? Netflix is only after one thing: subscribers. That's it. And they realize when they are not making enough money, that guess what? They have to start charging for ads, sponsorships. And now, what are more people going to do? You're not getting a lot of people on television anyways, and they don't like they're watching a movie on, forget about the fact that it's edited, but the fact that every 10 minutes is a commercial for 6 minutes, they're not gonna want to pay more. So of course they're gonna go to streaming, and of course they're gonna pay more because they don't like the damn commercials. So I think what he was trying to drive home is this: it's necessary. This is where the game is. Okay, it's feature films. Okay, streamers like Apple and Amazon have already said they're going to invest, and I can't wait for a couple of movies that are going to be coming out this year. And yeah, so it's one of those things where. So I'm going to go. Basically, I'll finish this story up and say this. Okay, he was the CEO, the president of NATO, was right. He was spot on. And now it's just a matter of, we'll see what happens. I hope that, things happen, and Netflix does something. If not, you know what? Fuck them. I hate to say it. They made their own bed. They can't have their cake and eat it too. So now, if they want to play ball, okay, and keep the movies in there, that's fine. But they will. When you have the CEO come out and say that they're not going to change their model, they're not going to change their model. Anyways, guys, no pictures here, so I'm sorry about that. But seriously, what do you guys think about this? Do you think that Netflix is right in not putting their movies back in theaters? Do you think that they should keep them in there for 30, 45 days? Do you think they should be eligible for Oscars? Leave your thoughts down in the comments and I'll get back to everybody. Okay, so one of the movies that is going to be coming out. So speaking of high-ranking people, okay, we had David Zaslav, who has basically come out and he's talked about, he is running, he is under a lot of scrutiny. Okay, I got to be honest. He's under a lot of scrutiny because he is the guy, okay, people forget about this, but he is the guy that basically did the day and date. Okay. And so, he's been under scrutiny too, because let's face it, Warner Brothers Discovery has been going under and is going under a lot of changes. So he actually came out today and he was talking about his streaming service. Okay. And I'm going to see if I can't pull this up. But so he was talking about his streaming service, HBO Max, or Max as it's now being referred to. So let's just go to the article. So it says this. Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav embraces theatrical and emotional CinemaCon debut. This is our time. 2 weeks after showing off the future of the rebranded Max service, which Max is just terrible anyways, but nonetheless, David Zaslav and Warner Brothers embraced theatrical as they showed their upcoming 2023 slate at CinemaCon. Zaslav made his debut at the movie theater trade show on Tuesday with a lengthy speech that earned plenty of applause from cinema execs, especially when he reaffirmed his company plans to never go back to day and date. Okay, which was fantastic. That's great to hear. And his predecessor, Jason Kilar, rolled out for 2021. I understand why they did that because of the pandemic. We believe in full theatrical windows. We do not believe in direct to streaming. We are in no rush to push films to Max. When we partner with you and we bring these movies to you in theaters and promote them, and later on we market them again and release them at home while you still have them in your theaters, and we put them on Max, they do better than any of our DTC or direct-to-consumer titles. Zaslav noted that at the time of the business, Warner Brothers Discovery merger, Warner only had 6 films on the theatrical slate. The studio will release 16 films in 2023, with plans to release 20 or more per year under new film heads Pan Abbey and Michael DeLuca. The CEO said that they are doing this not just for the sake of business. We have an obligation. There's 2 more movie theaters on every main street in the world. A lot of these main streets have not reopened, he says. Our country is so divided. Your theaters are the only place where everybody comes. The phone goes off, the lights go out, we tell a story, and it's magic. At the center of the presentation was the 1-2 punch of The Flash, which I talked about earlier, okay, and Barbie, okay. And Kevin, quickly, let's get to his comment here. Academy Awards 2024 Best Animated Feature, Disney with Pixar, Elemental, Universal Pictures, Super Mario Pictures, Sony Pictures, yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at those for all being nominated for Best Animated Film. I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah, I mean, that's a good bet. So getting back to that, talking about that, so where was I? Okay, which is actually being screened today, right now. Okay, we're very close to right now. So bear with me, guys. So they got a sneak peek of Barbie, okay, which I was talking about earlier. Okay. So which gets is an extended sneak peek from Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, and American Fiera. Warner's distribution chiefs, Jeff Goldstein and Andrew Cripps, even got on the spirit of Barbie by wearing pink suits and ties on stage. Oprah Winfrey was also in hand with director Blitz Bazuela, I probably butchered his name, I'm sorry, to show off the first look of the animated adaptation of The Color Purple, and have a preview panel with all of the stars. Trailer debuts were also shown for The Meg and the Nun, as well as Timothée Chalamet's Wonka, which will feature Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. Chalamet will was also on stage in his first look at Dune Part 2, which will come out this fall. So he's going to have a busy fall season. Warner is pinning its hopes on these films to lead a theatrical resurgence in its centennial year after 2022 with mixed box office results, mingled with headlines after a bumpy merger with Discovery. The studio had one of the biggest hits with The Batman, with 369 million domestic and almost 800 million worldwide, while Elvis became key in bringing older moviegoers back to the theaters, which earned multiple nominations. The studio also landed the biggest talent signing of the year. Uh, Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn joined Warner as he's co-head of DC along with Peter Safran, with plans to reboot the lucrative and brand in a new cinematic universe. But on the negative side, DC's Black Adam failed to turn a theatrical profit last fall when the failure of Fantastic Beasts: The Storm of Secrets of Dumbledore prompted the studio to take a different direction to J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, pivoting to a remake of the Harry Potter novels that will take the form of 7-season streams. Mixed results have been continued in 2023, with DC's Shazam: Fury of the Gods grossing less than half of its predecessor, with just 133 million worldwide. More positive news came this weekend with Evil Dead Rise, a film that pivoted streaming to theatrical after the WB merger and became a low-budget hit with $23.5 million opening weekend against a $15 million budget. Okay, let's talk about this. This is where these kind of films here, now you got to understand something. The Flash was in the can for many, many moons, right? Okay. So that being said, this had been done. This was before James Gunn's time. Okay. Barbie was just done the last 12 to 14, 18 months. This is what it's supposed to be. Okay. This is what it's supposed to be. And I think that when you have, I'm not a fan of David Zaslav at all. I can't stand the guy. And the reason being is basically what he did was he undercut all of the filmmakers and the talent and everything else with day and date. Now, I understand that was Kilgar and everything else. But you look at what he's done. He nixed a back as soon as he got in. Okay, I understand he was trying to cut profits and everything else. What did he do? He nixed a Batgirl movie, whether it was good or bad, would have had viewers. It was $90 million. He did it for a tax write-off. Leslie Grace busted her ass, and they completely, got rid of the whole thing. Brendan Fraser, okay, bunch of other stars. Then, as they're going through, Washington then has to re-examine their the merger, right? 186 titles got taken off, and they'll actually be taken off at the end of this month. 5 days. 186 titles all at once. So they wrote, senators and congresspeople and legislators wrote a scathing letter to re-examine the merger. So what do? They come out no more than 48 hours later, bang. They basically, they say, look over here, we're rebranding, but don't look over there. We're being investigated by the Department of Justice. He's, and I understand he's a business person. I get it. I totally understand. Okay. All that being said, the fact that he's coming out and saying what he said, okay, the theatrical place is where, his comments were spot on. Okay. We believe in full theatrical windows. We do not believe in direct to streaming. We are in no rush to push your films to max. Okay. That's the way, we have an obligation. There are 2 movie theaters on every main street in the world, but there are a lot of those main streets have not reopened. Our country is so divided. Your theaters are the only place where everybody comes. The phone goes off, The lights go down, we tell a story, and it's magic. And that is it. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So, and I wish more, I'm glad to see that he really believes in all of this. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to actually do that. So, we'll see. But I like the fact that they're not going to be pushing all this stuff to streaming because they realize they're not going to get enough money. So they have to make as much money as they can in the theaters and then put it on their streaming platforms. So, okay, guys. So that was kind of a crazy show and a long show. It's about an hour and a half. But so what do you think, before I go into that, what do you guys think about what Zaslav said? Do you think that that's the right model? Do you think the direct-to-consumer is the right model? Do you think Netflix has the right idea, or is David Zaslav on point? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everything. Okay, so this was a crazy show. It was over an hour and a half, a lot of stuff. I didn't cover yesterday's Sony and everything else, so that's why. There's a lot of stuff I didn't cover for Warner Brothers, and either we'll do that tomorrow on the show, or I'll do a space later on. And if you want to follow me, you can absolutely do that on Twitter. And this is the place to go if you want to do that. Okay, it's Wannabe Rounder. That being said, if you want to support me, basically all you can do, there's a couple different things to do. Number one, there's a join button there when you're watching. I think it's $2.99 a month. It's less than a gallon of gas right now. It's not that. I made it extremely cheap because I know times are tough right now. Or if you want to do a little bit more, you can head on over to patreon.com/realtalks. It's 2 levels, $5, $10. $5 gets you Mob Mondays. That's going to be once a month. We're going to be doing a video exclusive to Patreon. Nobody else is going to get it but you guys. And so you guys already selected what this one's going to be, and that is going to be The Untouchables, the 1987 movie with Kevin Costner and Robert De Niro and such, directed by Brian De Palma. And if you want to do the $10 level, the higher of the 2 levels, you can, and that is going to be Steve Jobs. So that is Michael Fassbender, Kate Winslet, Seth Rogen, and that's an amazing thing. So, and you guys can do that there. And so just one last thing, Mission Impossible, that's going to be starting on June 2nd. I already recorded it. I have to upload it to YouTube. Take care of that. And that's it. So in the next coming days, the 27th, okay, we're going to be doing the Infinity War. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be the 5-year anniversary of that. And then on that Friday, I'm going to be going to see Return of the Jedi. It's turning 40, unbelievably. And everybody's seen the movie. I understand that. It's what it's like, what you remember, the experience in the theater, everything like that. Because it's one thing to watch it here in your home. It's another thing to watch it in a movie theater. And everybody can agree with that. So, okay, guys. So, here's what I need you to do. Do the 3 things I always tell you to do. Be safe, be careful, and have a great rest of the day. I'm David Steele, and this has been Real Talks. Bye-bye, guys.